Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. Congratulations, you made it. We finally arrived. We've been going through our top 50 games of all time. Little by little, we have finally arrived to the top 10 games from Ryan and Bethany of all time.
Of all time, 2020.
That's right. It's very subject to change as we play more games and see more games and new games come out all the time. So let's just dive right into it.
All right, as always, I go first. My number 10 was Ryan's 12. Yes, was Ryan's 12, and that is Castles of Burgundy. This is a Stefan Feld game, and it has dice. Of course, it has dice. And I like that this was one of the first games we played where a low or high dice number wasn't good or bad. Where you were drafting these cards to put, or drafting these tiles to put on your player board, and that a 1 just signified the different things you could get. And they were not good or they were not bad. It really depended on what strategy you wanted to do. So this was a great game. I think this is one of the games that almost anybody can get into.
Yeah.
It's just great.
It was my number 12. I'm a big fan. My number 10, however, is Power Grid. This was Bethany's number 28 back in, 2 lists ago. Go back and watch it. Power Grid is just this phenomenal game of network building and route kind of connectivity, and you're powering all these power plants with all these different materials using nuclear and trash and oil and coal and all that kind of stuff. Man, it is just one of those classic Euros. And there's so many different maps, expansions to it, and each one has their own twist to it, kind of like Ticket to Ride. They all have their own little twist and ways to make it different. Oh, man, Power Grid is just solid. My number 10.
My number 9 was Ryan's number 21. I got 12 and 21. Isn't that funny? I think that's funny. Anyway, it is Pandemic Legacy Season 2. This is a discovery game, so when you have the board, not everything is even there, and as you go out and you drop off resources to different places, you get to discover new things, and you get to add stickers to the map that you get to explore more. And of course, since it's a Pandemic Legacy game, there's this huge story arc that is involved, and it's really fun.
All right, so my number 9, speaking of Pandemic, this is Horrified. So I kind of view Horrified as like a Pandemic, the regular version of Pandemic.
Yeah.
Spooky version. And not like horror version, but spooky version. Yeah. Fun, happy, spooky. It uses the Universal Studios monsters, like the creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein and his bride, those kinds of characters. And you choose 2, 3, or 4 of them, and they all have different kind of win conditions of how you defeat them. But it's not necessarily defeating them like kill them. It's defeating them and kind of getting their win condition. So, for instance, Frankenstein and his bride, you have to make them more and more human, more and more empathetic as the game goes on. So that way, when they finally meet up in the middle of the board, they're able to fall in love together. Dracula, you have to go and destroy all of his coffins, kind of all that kind of stuff. It's really accessible. We taught it to our 6-year-old, and she liked it.
It's just 6-year-old.
Yeah, she's going to be 7 very soon.
When they watch it, she'll be 7.
But yeah, back when we taught it to her, she was 6, and it's just very, very accessible, very, very fun, and it's a lighter-ish co-op, but it's still tough, especially in the harder setting. For me, it's kind of a pandemic killer, especially like in October, especially.
Okay, so Ryan's last list was like his Feld list, and I guess this is my Feld list because my number 8 is Merlin. This is another game to where you're rolling dice, but the pips don't mean good or bad. It's just how many spaces you can move wherever you land on this circle. You get to take an action. You're trying to vie to basically say you're the best person to replace King Arthur because Arthur because he is retiring or he died. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so you're going through and you're doing
retirement's just kind of like dying.
It is, yeah. So you're doing these different actions to try to gain influence, and you're trying to protect your area, and just all sorts of fun little stuff.
All right, my number 8 is Seven Wonders Duel. All right, so when they make 2-player versions of games that already exist, they're usually lame. I don't know, or at least pale attempts at the original. Yeah. But in this case, Seven Wonders Duel is just such a strong 2-player game. It's my favorite 2-player game of all time. The way they kind of made card drafting into this drawing from this tableau. There's 3 different win conditions. You can either win by science, military, or by victory points. And so balancing out all those different win conditions really makes for a fun, intense game every step of the way. Maybe someone's pulling ahead in military, so you got to quick either win in science or get some military yourself, or whatever the case is. Oh man, it's that tenseness all the way through the end.
I've heard it said by many people that they didn't like Seven Wonders, but that they liked Seven Wonders Duel.
But if you say you don't like Seven Wonders, you're already a crazy person. Because Seven Wonders is, as you'll find out, great.
Well, anyway, my number 7 is Nobleman. This is where I struggle to explain a game. I'm just like, it's great. So you are doing things.
Yeah, that definitely happens.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry, guys. I practiced this beforehand so I wouldn't do exactly what I'm doing now. One of the things that I liked about this is you have this player board that stands up, and you can be different types of people. So you can be a
duchess,
or marquess, or or whatever, all those things. And the thing that's fun is that it has a reverse player board, so you can be a duke or a duchess based on how you want to stand on that. So I thought that was really neat that you had that option. And then you are building your place, you're building palaces, you're building, what are those garden things that you build?
Garden things is what they're called. That's the official terminology.
And forestry and farms, and you're just trying to gain the most points. And there's also this other tracker that gets reset all the time. So you're trying to build up this stuff so that way when it goes back around, you can be a higher prestige person. And then at the end of every round, that goes back to 0. So you're trying to work it up again so that way you can still have this higher prestige.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so my number 7 is Seven Wonders. No, I did not plan that. That's just how it happened. But I mentioned that Seven Wonders Duel is one of the best 2-player games. It is the best. But it's still not as good as Seven Wonders by one notch in my rankings. Seven Wonders is the quintessential drafting game. You take a card, pass the rest, take a card, pass the rest, that kind of thing. But what you're doing is you are building up resources, because a lot of these cards, especially in the later rounds, cost more and more resources. You're getting points from military, you're getting points from commerce, you're getting points from building buildings, and obviously you're the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah.
And so everything kind of gives you points, but it's all about what you draft and how you draft it. It is fantastic. There's expansions for it that add even more, leaders, factions, or kind of cards that bring debt into the picture. Yeah. The Tower of Babel is one of the expansions. It plays so quick. Whether you play with 3 players or 7 players, yeah, it still takes roughly 30, 35 minutes, even with the expansions. Unless there's one player who's really APing it up, but even still.
But it would still be the same if you're playing with just that person, regardless of the player count.
Yeah, because everyone's playing simultaneously. Yeah. So, Seven Wonders, my number 7.
Our number 6 syncs up.
Yeah, it does, which is wild.
It's so cute, guys. We match. Oh. We're both wearing blue.
Oh, nice. Just like our number 6
is Dominion.
Yeah. So, Dominion. This is the classic great-great-grandfather of all deck builders. Yes, there's maybe some other games that have had deck building elements, but let's be real. Dominion is what put deck building on the map. And it is it's just the engine building, the purest form of engine building. Yeah. You buy cards that are weak, to buy cards that are medium strength, to buy cards that are strong. And at some point you flip over from buying action cards to getting victory point cards. Yeah. And that flip of the switch is really interesting point in the game. And then it's just get all the victory points you can, grab them up. There's so many expansions for that too. That's kind of a trend. All the games that I like happen to have, not all of them, but a lot of them have cool expansions that kind of add to the game. It would take a great game to an amazing game. But all the different expansions have things like cards that last from round to round, or focuses on the discard pile and trashing things, or focuses on bigger and better money cards.
Yeah.
So each expansion has its own kind of a flavor to it, and they're all balanced really well together. I'm talking a whole bunch about it. You talk about it.
This is a great example of a game to where if the gameplay is awesome, theme doesn't matter. What is the theme of this game? Point exactly. It does not matter. And I think this is a great example of...
The victory points represent land.
Yeah, if you have a really good gameplay, You can kind of just paste on any theme you want. But like Ryan was saying, the endless possibilities, well, I guess it's not endless, but the ridiculous amount of possibilities of how many different games you could have of this are just amazing. Even just with the box set you told me earlier, like how many
I can't remember. There's a permutation of how many, it's like, I want to say it's a few hundred different games based off just this one box. When you add in all expansions, that's like tens and tens of thousands of different variations of the game.
One of the things we've been wanting to do and we just haven't done is have a Dominion day, because we have a few other people who have the like box set, so we have enough cards to play it. But we just want to have Dominion all day, have like 4 or 5 tables set up, and all we're doing is playing Dominion all day. We haven't done it yet, but we want to do it.
Yeah. All right, so that was our number 6 Dominion.
All right, so my number 5, I'm very disappointed this is not on Ryan's list at all. Like, we're going to have words later. So
Those words are going to be, I'm sorry that you like a silly game. I like it too. Just not top 50 quality.
This is when you're like, it was like my 51. Anyways.
It was like my 51.
So my number 5, like I said, it's my failed list. This is La Isla. So you're going...
No, I like La Isla. I thought you were talking about a different one. Okay, never mind. I like La Isla. It probably was 51.
So in La Isla, you are going to this island and you're discovering new creatures. It's a set collection game as you're traveling around this little island. But one of the really neat aspects of this game is it has multi-use cards, and I am a sucker for multi-use cards. You have this grid that you're putting all these cards in, but you have to draft one. You have to draft one in this area. And so these all give you different abilities, and eventually what you'll have to do is cover up an ability that you want, because you have to put a card there every single turn. And I just really like that that idea that you have to play a new mechanism, even if you have this thing that's really working for you, doesn't work for you anymore.
All right, so we synced up with designers anyways on number 5. You put La Isla, I put Luna. This is my number 1 Stefan Feld game. My 10th, or what is it, my 20 through 11 had like half dozen Feld games. And it was Bethany's number 22, so she talked about it already, but the advanced planning that has to go into...
Did I really talk about it though? Or was I like, there's tiles, there's things?
It's really fun.
Yeah, that's the only one I did.
All right, so in Luna, you really have to kind of advance plan. All the information's out in the open. There is no hidden information. But you know from round to round where certain actions will need to be taking place in order to do certain things. It's vague. But the point is, you have to plan out in round 1 what you want your meeples to be doing in round 3 and 4, because there's ripple effects. What you do with them in round 1 and where they end up is going to matter for round 2, 3, 4, 5. It just you really have to plan ahead, and it's just that level of strategy is just brilliant. I've been playing online a lot, and
Where?
This one is on, I want to say, Board Game Arena.
Oh, okay.
Boadajou. No, it's not on Boadajou. Okay. You gotta. Maybe. I can't remember. It's on one of those sites. I'll put it in the text. Right, it will be right here, floating in air, of where I play online. But Luna is my favorite Feld game of all time. I was surprised that it wasn't my number 1 game, but turns out there's 4 more ahead of it.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised at all by your list. So my number 4 is Eminent Domain Battle Cruisers. This is really funny because I've never played Eminent Domain, but I love Eminent Domain Battle Cruisers. It's just like you have like 5, 6, 7 cards, and that's it. And everybody has the exact same cards in their hand, and you're taking turns playing them. It's simultaneous play of when you select the cards, and then when you flip them, whoever has the lowest number gets to play first, and then the round continues. So there's some cards that would attack, but you play a lower card, it could protect you, stuff like that. Things like that happen. Your cards are also your life. So if you play the same card as somebody, oftentimes you don't get to play. You might have to discard it and or something like that. So you can win either by being the last man standing or getting the victory points that you need to get first. And it's just really fun. There's just so many different games in here. There's so many different cards and so many different ways you can play. Like, do you remember when we were like, let's just play the quick game, and then we played slow burn?
Yeah, we
oh
just.
My gosh. That was
we
so
did not
ridiculous.
did not literally take the title of that set of cards into account.
Yeah, this is a blast, like spaceship blast. Anyway,
All right, my number 4. This is Agricola, or whatever it is. A game about farming, but it's not about farming.
Terrible.
It's not about farming. It's about changing lives and feeding your people and just advancing their lives, and it's about card combos is what it comes down to. You're going to be drafting cards at the beginning of the game, and you have to play those throughout the round. It's a worker placement game, but more actions kind of become unveiled as the game goes on. You have to reinforce your house, make it stronger and stronger, and then add more rooms on the house so that you can make room for more people. You have to give animals. You have to plant some fields. Boy, everything you do in this game is you're always wishing there was more actions that you had, but the more people you have and they give you actions, the more food you have to feed them. It's just a really tight balance all the way through. Say what you want. It is a masterpiece. It is. It's fantastic. I love Agricola.
Like a birthday and anniversary game.
I cannot wait.
For what?
Our anniversary and my birthday. 24-hour marathon.
Oh, gross. It's my anniversary too.
Okay, fine, my birthday.
Okay, fine. It's your birthday. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so my number, what are we on?
3.
That's the one.
Ish.
I just want to trash Agricola more. Anyway, it's a good game. I just hate it. So anyway, my 3, hate's a very strong word, is, I don't hate it. I'm sorry. I don't really hate it. Sorry.
Getting off the
number
rails
3
here.
is Firefly the game. This was actually Ryan's 40. This game is so immersive in Firefly. It's really great. It's this pickup delivery game where you're going across the verse and trying to complete these jobs. And I really like how there's so many different games you can have in this game. So you could have a game to where you're trying to get the most amount of cash first, or you could have a game to where you're trying to complete the most amount of jobs, or you could have a game where you're trying to do all these bad things and then end in a certain place with X amount of money. So it's just, I really like the variety that happens in this. And it looks really cool when it's all set out and it takes up just like the entire room of your basement, but it is fun.
I like it too. All right, so my number 3 is Silverton. This is a game that is unfortunately no longer available. It was published by Mayfair and they're no longer around. Hopefully someone will pick it up eventually. Probably not, but whatever. It's an 18xx style game. So there's trains, there's stock market, that kind of thing, which is one of the the hallmark pieces of an 18xx. Only it's not named as such. But yeah, you were building these routes. You're connecting all these, making your network of where you're going. But more than that, it's about mining. So when you get to those destinations, you have a mine, and you have to buy into that mine, and then you're going to roll dice, which you can determine how much material you're getting out of that mine. So you're looking for gold or coal or whatever it is, and then you have to ship it back to a place that wants to buy it. So ship it to one of those cities. There's a stock market that tells you what the prices of everything is, and it's a supply and demand thing. So the more you sell, the market's been flooded, the price is going to go down. And if it hasn't been sold for a while, the market's going to creep back up. It's a long one. The box actually says 2 to 9 hours, which is actually terrible. If you sit down to a game and you're thinking, I could be here anywhere from 2 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
But it's actually deceiving. There's a short version of the game, it's 2 to 4 hours, and a long version of the game, which is I think 6 to 9 hours. And the longest game I've ever played, even on a long setting, was 5.5 hours.
It was just 2 of you though.
Yeah, it plays up to 6, I think, and that would be maybe pushing the 9-hour mark. But it'd also be wicked awesome because Silverton is where it's at.
So my number 2 is Legacy, The Testament of Duke de Crecy. I don't know what it is about this game. I just don't know what it is, but I adore this game. You are a matriarch or a patriarch of a family, and over the course of 4 generations, you're trying to gain the most prestige. You're trying to gain, have manners and buy land. You're also trying to do good works for the society and donate money, while you're also trying to marry off your kids for good and decent marriages that really benefit your overall objectives. And it is just really fun. The cards are so tiny because they have to be, because you have 4 generations eventually, and it takes a
literal family tree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, the cards are people, so it's this family tree that's just going out and out and out, and I just don't know why I love this game so much, but it is a blast.
My number 2, this is Black Orchestra. This is an example of theme just really coming out strongly. Yeah. It's got a lot of things I love about a game. It's got, it's a cooperative game, and it's a tough cooperative game. Our win rate is, I think, 0%. But doesn't mean it's not
right up my alley.
Doesn't mean it's not worth the struggle, though. Basically, what's happened is you were playing these historical figures, this really, real stuff that really happened, who are trying to assassinate Hitler, trying to end, the war, within Germany. This is the German people, the German army, trying to assassinate Hitler. And as someone of German descent, granted, my family left when it was still Bavaria before it became Germany, but it was just so unpopular to be German, and you had this negative rap because everyone associates Germany with Nazis. Yeah. But that's not reality.
I mean, there is a lot of things that happen. Like, even locally, we live in the Quad Cities, and we had a park, like, in the early 1900s that was shut down because it was run by Germans. I mean, that's part of our history. It was just
a really cool roller coaster theme park.
Had a dance
with
hall.
a dance hall and like a shooting gallery. Yeah. And because it had a German name.
Because it was owned by Germans. Yeah.
Then it was, eventually just shut down. And like things like having, dachshunds. Dachshunds were German sounding, named dogs that were just became unpopular because, they were associated with Nazis. But for me, it's really important that people recognize that Germans should not equal Nazis. Yeah. Nazis should equal Nazis.
Yes.
And so in this game, you are Germans killing Nazis. And I just think the theme is so strong. I love hearing these stories, the real life stories that you're kind of trying to play out, but usually failing, just because in real life they failed, unfortunately, of people trying to assassinate Hitler. So that's the theme and why I like Black Orchestra so much. I can't wait till I win it.
Full circle, we ended up getting married at that park.
It's true.
True story. All right, my number 1 and Ryan's number 1
are
the same game. It was like meant to be. Aren't we cute and everything?
I'm going to say it at the same time.
We are?
Yeah. Ready, go. Ready, go.
You're going to say something else.
I'm not.
Okay.
Pandemic Legacy Season 1. All right, so Pandemic Legacy Season 2 was fantastic. It was so much fun.
It was on both of our lists.
It was, but Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was just amazing. It was the best gaming experience I have ever had.
Yes.
We played it with 2 of our very best friends, and we just kind of grew even closer as friends throughout the course of playing this game.
Yeah.
Just to give some background, it is in, the style of Pandemic. It's a cooperative game, but you play over 12 months. It gets increasingly difficult. The state of the board changes. You're actually placing stickers on the board. You're ripping up cards.
Yeah.
There's the plot that goes along with it. I'm not going to spoil anything because that's so good. I want you to explore it for yourself.
Enough time has passed.
No, I'm not. What? Don't even think about spoiling it.
So this is what happened.
Don't. Yeah, I will delete this if you do. I will erase this.
Did you see that? He goes, I will delete this. No, I wouldn't do it. But everything he's saying is so true. There was just such a story in this game that evolved and developed and showed itself while also having such strong gameplay at the same time. It was great. And there's a thing that happens in this game that left us kind of speechless. And I remember being at work the next day, and I was just so mad, and nobody at work could understand that I'm just mad at this game I was playing, and it was, it affected you.
Yeah, it's the reason we bought Clank Legacy. We haven't started playing it yet, but it's because we're chasing this high of playing Pandemic Legacy Season 1 again. And we've heard tell that there's going to be a Pandemic Legacy Season 3. I don't know if that's true or not. If it does end up happening, take our money. We are going to... We want this, we will play it.
Time to take Sam's money.
Yeah, it's his turn to pay.
Yeah.
Your turn, Sam.
He doesn't watch this.
Probably not. All the more better we can just tell the internet.
Yeah. Sam, you're paying. This is it. I don't know what to do anymore.
All right. Well, it turns out that's our list. But we had so much fun making it. We had a lot of, you guys telling some really great stories too. Tell us what your top 10 favorite games are of all time. And because we had so much fun making these lists, I think we're going to keep on making more lists and eventually circle back around. And as our lists change, we might go revisit our top 50.
Maybe we'll become a top 100.
Or top 1 million.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's when we're go. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can follow us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can also follow us on Instagram under Ryan and Bethany. You can chat with us on Twitter under Ryan and Bethany 1.
Everybody, thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye.